Good morning. Let us start our work job today at our lecture. I hope you'll join soon. So far, we have discussed the stress concentration effect over the thick plates of certain longitudinal length as well as certain width with a hole at the center of the plate. And we have imagined as this particular hole is small in size, we have imagined a concentric hole which is much bigger in size and almost equal to the thickness of the width. Uh, thick, and we have assumed what is the stresses distributed over this big ring inside the big imaginary ring surrounding uh, our actual hole itself. Now, we have gone through the tension and strain compression and the effect and how much stress is induced due to the stress concentration around the small intended hole which we are given there. Now, for tension and contention, there is supposed to be geometrical discontinuity or irregularities in members under torsion as well as stress riser itself. Now, which is geometrical discontinuity or irregularities in members under torsion acts as a stress riser. Stress riser means due to the presence of these discontinuities or irregularities, even the parts concerned, remember, under torsion is also has additional strength, additional stress resolved inside it in addition to the average stress throughout the length if the part is if that particular notch or irregularities was not present there. Here we'll use hydrodynamical analysis method. Hydrodynamical hydrodynamical analogy. Yes, this analogy means the torsional stresses in a bar of uniform cross section with that of the motion of frictionless fluid. We comparing the a prismatic bar under torsion with that of the motion of a frictionless fluid, first of all, circulating inside a shell. Circulating inside a shell having the same cross section as that of the torsion bar. So we are constantly thinking of a shell which is which is filled up with the motionless fluid. The motionless, first of all, motionless fluids, and it is motionless as well as that of the motion of the friction, not motion, but the frictionless fluid. Or a frictionless fluid, which and its motion of this fluid circulating inside a shell, circulating inside a cell. So, and of same shell is of same cross section that of prismatic bar itself. So what we have instead of a prismatic bar, we are considering a fluid, first of all, which is frictionless, which is carried inside a cylinder itself, whose flow motion is considered under motion inside a cylinder, of same diameter, same size. Let me say size that of bar under torsion itself. Now, in the next page, I'm just going through the cross section of the fluid. Figure shows in our next section. This is the figure. It is the cross section of the fluid itself. This is the cross section of the fluid. Cross section of a shell. reach an ideal fluid, and it carries ideal fluid. Fluid means motor frictionless. Now, here what we see, this is of irregular in nature. It's not similar to our what we'll say regularly available, regular cells or something like this. But we'll use it for our purpose. We'll assume a coordinate system y and x, and a point A here, Vx and Vy is the component of the components of stress. Here this two quality incompressibility means the fluid has incompressible. Fluid is incompressible. Means no volumetric change, no volumetric change, and frictionless. And less means no force is induced in induced due to friction. Now at the point A, here this is the point A itself, where Vx, we have Vx and Vy, the component here Vx means velocity of the fluid in the components in x and y direction, respectively, of the velocity of the circulating fluid. So Vx and Vi is the velocity, Vx the velocity of the fluid in x direction, and that Vy y direction, that y direction itself means fluid is flowing in both. We can have the velocity along x and y direction according to our need itself. Now, in case of a deformable solids, the volumetric strain, the change in volume per unit time, is given by this equation itself. You know, for any solid in which there is a volumetric change, we can say that rate of change of volume, that is a volume, volumetric strain means rate of change in volume per unit volume is given by delta V by delta V, where delta Ux by dx plus delta Uy by dy by delta Uj plus dz means change in rate of change in in the dimension in x direction, y direction, and z direction altogether is equal to the change in volume, which is given for which can be made as volumetric strain when you divide by the original volume itself. So Ux, Cy, z are the diameter distance of a point x, y, z direction. So say for two-dimensional bodies like this, we will have only two components, dy and dx, and dy and dy itself. And if the body under consideration is not incompressible, there is no change. There is no change in volume. That is, rate of change of volumetric strain is delta V, means rate of change of volume per unit volume. It is equal to 0 itself. So volumetric strain is 0. You have, let's say, strain is 0 here. In the case of a fluid in motion, the continuity equation is the mathematical expression of the conservation of mass. Now we have to go through the fluid in motion. Fluid is moving in x and y direction. It is not stable. That continuity equation will know the mathematical expression of the conservation of the mass itself. So what we have here, if rho is the dimension density for a two-dimensional flow field, as we have given here, we have only x and y direction is available. The conservation mass will gives us d rho divided by dt into rho into dvx by dy plus dvx by dy is equal to 0. So rate of change of velocity in terms of x and rate of change of velocity in terms of y multiplied by the volume density of the particular fluid plus rate of change of density per unit time will be equal to 0. So the conservation mass, there is no increase or decrease in mass. Only this the formation may change. So the mass change in mass per unit time plus change in mass per unit displacement of the velocity itself is all altogether is equal to 0 itself, or where rho is the density of the fluid concerned. Now, in terms of inside the bracket is represents the volumetric strength. If the flow is steady, this is the volumetric strength for two-dimensional case, rate of change of velocity or along x or rate of velocity along y direction itself. So as per the laws of conservation of mass equation, density rho, the flow is steady, and density rho is the independent of time, where the terms inside the bracket is the volumetric strength itself. Volumetric strength. Because this is the rate of change of dimensions per unit volume. So delta Vx and delta Ex plus delta Vy plus delta Y is equal to 0. Then, if this equation persists, then this fluid is said to be incompressible itself. Hence, fluid does not change its volume at all. So, according to the volumetric mass equation, it does not change the mass at all. So, this equation as well as V by V both are equal to 0 itself. Now, in the analysis strain, what we have gone through, omega yx is equal to omega j, means rigid body for road is angular velocity along the z direction. If the for a rigid body rotation about the z direction without a strain or deformation, this is the amount of the angular velocity in terms against surrounding the z axis, surrounding z axis or about the z axis without any strain or deformation itself. If the rigid body is assumed to be everywhere, body is rigid, the rigid body rotation is uniform everywhere. It is a full portion of the body is moving in the same omega or same RPM, etc. Then what will have omega ys, range of this rotational velocity or rotational velocity is equal to half of del uy minus del x minus del ux minus del y is equal to omega z is equal to constant. Means rate of change of the dimension and x direction, which is the velocity, minus rate of change of dimension x y direction is the velocity, is equal to constant itself. Here duy and dx and dyz is equal to constant, because you know half is always a constant itself. So this rate of change of velocity in terms of x and y both are constant and both are equal itself. The velocity is constant and equal. Now, in case of the fluid, the velocity, vorticity or rotation, or the vorticity, the rotation of a particular fluid. In this case of a, here first that was a rigid body, rigid solid body. We have consideration, but now we have consideration the rotation or the velocity or making a circle inside a fluid is also given by dvx divided by dx minus dvy or dy by rate of change of velocity by x minus rate of change of velocity by y is equal to omega x, means that its rotation around the z direction itself. There, the condition of uniform velocity is therefore this condition should be supposed to be constant. So the circular motion inside the fluid is supposed to be constant if this condition is exists. So for an incompressible fluid, thus for an incompressible fluid itself, by circulating the with the uniform velocity at a shell in a shell is expressed by dvx by dy, dvy by dy is equal to 0. For an incompressible circulating with the uniform velocity, circulating uniform velocity in a shell, and is given by rate of change of its velocity by dx, rate of change of its velocity along y-axis into dy is equal to 0. Here, the uniform velocity is also equal to 0. And dvy by dx, dvx by dy is equal to constant. So, rate of change of velocity and in x direction and y direction, and if add together, it is supposed to be constant because it is not possible fluid. It is not making any volumetric change or anything like this. We have already proved that here it is constant itself. Here is earlier equation here, 12.5 equation. Equation 12.5, it is proved. 12.5. Now, and dvy by dx minus dvx by dy is equal to constant but not zero. Now define a stream function. Function of stream function phi such that dx is equal to d phi by dx and dy is equal to minus d phi by dx. This such a function satisfies in equation 12 and earlier equation that we're writing out equation 12. In order to start to equation b, we should have d phi squared by dy d by dx squared d phi d2 square phi divided by dy square is equal to constant. This stream function coincides with equation for torsional stress function or torsional stress function itself on Prandtl's torsional function. From the torsional stress function, we know tau zx is equal to d phi by dx and tau zy is minus d phi by dx, etc. And the stream function is given by vx d phi by dy and d phi dy minus d phi by dx. This means the velocity component vx and vy correspond to the shear stress components tau zx and tau zy itself. Now, as per the figure below, here we have this figure, this one, and this one, which has a shaft, which shows a shaft with a small concentric hole, eccentric hole, and let us first of all with shaft with the eccentric hole, shaft with a semicircular projection, semicircular irregularities around the circumference, and slapped with a rectangular irregularities around the circumference itself. Now, if we think of the of a shell which is having this type of incontinuity, and the ideal fluid which is frictionless is allowed to flow, then the effect of this flow of the hole on the stress distribution is similar to the velocity distribution of a circulating fluid. A shell with a solid cylinder of the same diameter as the hole. What we have, that is a solid cylinder, it carries a circulating wheel. It carries a circulating wheel. A solid cylinder circulating fluid, and with the same diameter, we have a hole in the cell accordingly, so that this fluid during circulation can come out from through this hole itself. Thus, a cylinder obviously alters the velocity distribution of the neighborhood of this construction. So, velocity distribution here is changing. Velocity distribution is changing. According to the hydrodynamic analysis, the velocities of a circulating fluid in the front and rear portion, in the front and rear points of the solid circular cylinder are zero. The velocity of the circular fluid in front and rear of the solid cylinder is zero. Means both these sides where there is obstruction, there is no velocity at all. So, but at the point M and N, the velocities are doubled. Everywhere on the end surface, there is no velocity because the surface of this the side of the enclosure is obstructing any movement of the fluid itself. But as there is a hole inside this end, so there is a velocities are flowing, fluid is coming out through it with a velocity, and as this hole is small, the velocity are almost double itself. Analytically, there is also a shaft with a circular hole is subjected to torsion. The shear stress as an imaginate of the hole is twice that what will be address of the hole itself. If the shear that circular shaft is analogy, this as per our analogy, if there is a circular shaft under torsion, the shear stress in the synergy of the hole will become twice of that will be in the absence of the hole. So here, if we consider the shaft of solid of same diameter, and we had subjected to a torsion around it, we'll find that there is that shear stress around the hole is almost twice that of the shaft at the other portion of the shaft, or if the shaft don't have this original hole itself. Here, in the second figure here, what we have is this one. What is that? A shaft with a semicircular groove at the periphery itself. So here is a semicircular groove. Based on this hydrodynamic analogy again, the shear stress at the bottom of the groove at say at the point M here, at the bottom of the whole groove is about twice the shear stress at the surface of the shaft and shaft far away from the groove itself. So it is maybe at the end of the both side of the solid circular shaft. We have a circular groove here, the shear stress, and the other portion there is no groove. The stress induced in this portion is almost half, or the stress induced around this groove hole is almost twice the shear stress induced in the surface of the shaft itself. In case of a key waves here, this is the key waves. It looks like a rectangular hole itself. This is the key waves. And now, here is the hydrodynamic analogy. Again, we are coming out. Hydrodynamic analogy means what is the behavior of the fluid when it is in motion, when in dynamic motion, and it creates a zero velocity of the circulating fluid at the corners, protruding or corners at protruding or projecting outwards, point N and says somewhere here there's supposed to be no velocity at all. Here is no velocity, but at here the shear stress at the corresponding point in the torsion problem are zero. But the corners here there is no shear stresses. That's when if you consider a rectangular shaft, solid shaft under torsion, that the point N and N there may not be any shear stress. But here the corners MM are called re-entrance corner, re-entrance corners. Here at this point, this corner is at the lower portion of the key wave itself. Higher portion there is no change in shear stress, but at the lower portion situation is different. At this point, the velocity of the circulating fluid are theoretically infinite. Well, in the corresponding torsion problem, the shear stress at this point is also very high. This means that even a small torque will induce permanent state at these 2 points. So small torque, this may be a permanent deformation at M and N, MM, because there is stress is very extremely high. It can be much beyond than your elastic limit itself. So there will be a permanent set or permanent deformation there. Now, the stress concentration can, however, be reduced by reduce it by making round corners at N and N. So N and N should not be a notch here, should be round like this. So this can be, the shear stress can be reduced considerably here. Well, generally, and generally speaking, the re-entrant corners are points of high stress concentration, and protruding corners are points of no stress, almost zero stress itself. Now, here in this diagram, we are getting protruding corners or projecting corners and vertices of re-entrant corners. Some of these are sharp, some of them are rounded corners. So what we have, this is the protruding corner itself. This is a projecting, where the corner is sharp and this corner is round. with fillet. This corner is sharp. Here, this corner is sharp. Again, this corner is round. Again, it is sharp, and again, it is sharp like this. Some of them, so some of the corners F, C, B, and E are sharp, and the corners like D and A, D are with fillets. Achha. So let the principal axis be A and B. If the principal axis A and B is along the radial direction of the shaft, principal axis A, there are two principal axes when we are considering the stresses in two-dimensional direction, the major and minor axis, where there is no shear stresses, but only the tensile stresses itself, and one is maximum and one is minimum. The principal stress A is along the radial direction of the shaft, then the shear stress at the end of the major axis are increased corresponding to proportion 1 plus A divided by B. So that is the shear stress, shearing stress at the end of this major axis A are increased to the proportion 1 plus B by A is to 1. 1 plus A divided by B. A is the diameter of a maximum diameter as the minimum diameter. B is the minimum diameter of the principal space. 1 plus A by B is the ratio of 1 by A by is to 1 is the it is that the major axis will increase the stresses, shearing stresses, major axis will be increased with this proportion itself. So the maximum stress induced depends on the ratio A by B. What is the size of A and what is the size of A and what is the ratio of A by B? When A and B become equal, this tends to become a circle itself. A circle in the shaft, in the hole in the shaft, and the discussion can be applied here so far, which we have done. When B becomes very small, the ellipse resembles a crack. Means only A exists, means a crack is there, a straight crack in the radial direction itself. And the shearing stress at the tip of this crack becomes extremely high. This explains why shafts with radial cracks are weak in torsion. And this is the illustration. This is the illustration of this phenomenon here. This 12.1, 15A and 15B. There is a elliptical hole, but it is A is extremely small in comparison to B. So at the edge, the force is maximum, maybe well within the restricted limit. Here, there is like a crack itself. So if there is a crack like this shape, the stress there is also extremely high, and thus which explains the reason of the shaft with a crack, with a straight crack, fails under the effect of torsion itself. But if the diameter changes gradually, then one is the elementary analysis to get the value of the stresses itself. To reduce the occurrence of high stresses, say fillets, again, there's only one solution is there. Fillets or shoulders are provided in the shaft itself. The magnitude of the maximum stress depends on the ratio rho by D, where rho is the diameter of the fillet and D is the lower the lower diameter of the step shaft. Higher diameter is capital D and lower diameter, a smaller diameter is D and higher, larger diameter is D. The shaft is step and rho is the diameter of the fillet at the edge of the step step itself. And so what you see, the stress concentration factor K is a function of rho by D, means diameter of the fillet divided by the diameter of the minimum diameter of the minor shaft, diameter of the minor portion of the shaft itself. Two values of D by D. There should be as a rho is a function of the rho by D for two particular values of major diameter or maximum or minimum dimension of the whole of the step itself. The stress concentration factor KT is now equal to the ratio of the maximum shear stress tau max occurring at the fillet to the stress tau 0. So ratio of the max, what is the concentration is equal to ratio of maximum shear stress tau max occurring at the fillet, say it is tau 0, in the shaft with the smaller diameter, that is D. The value of tau 0 is given from the torsion equation, torque, external torque divided by the small diameter, minor diameter divided by 2 into J. J is the polar momentum inertia itself, or 16 into T divided by pi d cube divided by 6 pi d cube. If we put the value of pi d to the power 4 by 2 to the power 4 by 32 here, this equation will J is equal to pi d to the power 4 by 32. If torque is applied and J is the polar momentum inertia of the smaller shaft itself. Now, thus KT, or the stress concentration factor KT, is equal to tau max by tau 0, depends on the ratio of maximum tau and depends on the ratio of minimum tau when there is no shear stress, when there is no stress concentration, and only the smaller portion of the shaft is under action. So tau max will be, KT is given by tau max is pi to the power 4 by 6 into T itself. This localized high stresses, are may not be dangerous for ductile material itself, to subjected to static loading, because these structural members are subject to fluctuating loads, as in the case of turbine rotor crankshaft. This stress concentration will have a pronounced effect itself. But for a fluctuating loads for turbine rotors and crankshaft itself, this stress concentration has a pronounced effect itself. So this is in this chart, the variational stress concentration factor is given when the ratio of rho by d is plotted along the abscissa, and the stress concentration factor is plotted along the coordinate, and two different values of the ratio of major to minimum diameter of the shaft is given. One is 2 and another is 1.1 itself. Next, let us go to the bending members under consideration on the bending itself. You see, equation options for normal and shearing stresses are, in the case of prismatic bar, are very often applied in the case of beams of variable cross section. Well, we are considering the effect of beams of variable cross section. And if the change in the section of the beam are not abrupt and are gradual, the solution is by the application of elementary analysis of fairly satisfactory. We are interested to know what will be the condition when there is an abrupt change in cross section itself. And if the changes are abrupt, then as in the previous cases of tension and torsion, the maximum stress will be greater than those obtained from the elementary formulas. But the changes are abrupt, then everything changes. The maximum stress will be induced as sigma max, the stress concentration factor, or either stress sigma, where sigma is the stress at the point under construction as obtained from the prismatic bar formula, and KT is the stress concentration factor. The stress at the point under construction means stress at the point where the stress is maximum, and KT is the stress concentration factor itself. But in limited number of cases, the value of KT has been obtained by using the equation of the theoretical elasticity. In such cases, a circular shaft with a hyperorbital groove is figured over above. Below, the stress concentration factors are, in the case of pure bending, are obtained as given by KT 3 by 4 into N. N is the normal force acting over the shaft, 1 plus D divided by 2R. D is the diameter, the lower shaft, R is the radius, plus 1, 3 into D by 2R, where D is the diameter of the minimum cross section, R is the smallest radius of the curvature at the bottom of the groove. So D is the minimum cross section. So this is the minimum cross section here, and small r is the smallest radius of curvature at the bottom of the groove. This is the radius of curvature here, that is small r itself. And rho is the psi. Mu is mu psi is the Poisson's ratio for the material itself. So we have to know the D, where N is given by the normal stress, N is given by this ratio of D by small r plus 4 into the Poisson's ratio, again this ratio, and the Poisson's ratio divided by this ratio itself. Where D is the diameter of the mineral rotor, but where D by R is fairly large, this equation can be replaced by a sufficient accuracy by the following expression: KT 3 by 4 square root of d divided by 2r. D is the minimum diameter and r is the radius of the bottommost portion of the group itself. Now, similar to the circular shaft, a large plate with hyperbolic notches subjected to pure bending also has rigorously analyzed for stress distribution near the first. Here, the stress concentration near the root of the notch M and N here, like here. It is a large plate with hyperbolic notch. This notch is not circular but hyperbolic is in nature. It is subject to pure bending, also rigorously analyzed. This cases of factors, roots, and near the roots to the root F0 of the notch M and N can be approximately given by KT plus 0.08 plus square root of 0.355 here multiplied by d by r plus 0.085. So here's the d by r that the minimum dimension here by the radius of this hyperbolical pole, and put here we can have the process concentration factor. D is the minimum width of the plate and r is the radius of rupture at the bottom of the group itself, just like our circular round shaft. A circular shaft with hyperbolic in nature, notches subjected to bending, has a smaller stress concentration factor at the roots than a wide plate with hyperbolic notches under bending itself. So here, for a tension, the circular shaft is subjected to a bending smaller radius of stress concentration factor at the root, but a wide plate with hyperbolic notches under bending has much higher stress concentration factor itself. You see, the difference is there. This should be smaller, and this must be much higher than that. Next, let us go to finish this chapter to know what is the notch sensitivity itself. When the sectional geometry of the member under stress has geometric discontinuity like groove, fillets, holes, T-ways, these are the discontinuity available in practice, and these zone stresses are higher than the normal stress values are induced itself. The value of sigma max of stress at this highly stressed zones are obtained by multiplying the normal stress sigma 0 by factor 80 and the stress concentration factor, and it becomes sigma max equal to 80 into sigma 0. So the nominal stress means maybe maximum, maybe average, but maximum stress available. Nominal generally thinks of maximum stress, the value of sigma 0 by a factor, you have to multiply it, which is the stress concentration factor, you get the maximum stress sigma max induced here. Nominal, however, there are certain metals, they are not very sensitive to notches, groups, etc. For started material, lower concentration factor can be used. Here in line, for this material, maximum stress value is sigma max Kf and K0, where K is reduced value of Kt, and sigma is again the nominal stress value itself. The notch sensitivity Q is defined by the equation Q equal to Kf minus 1 divided by Kt minus 1. Here the sensitivity factor is Kt, and here the sensitivity factor is Ka. So the sensitivity to the notch can be given by this ratio, the Kf sensitivity factor for those material which is not sensitive minus 1 and divided by Kt will stress concentration factor for those who are sensitive to location, sensitive to strain of stress minus 1 instead. Generally Q varies between 0 to infinity, means less than 1, which is fraction. So this equation gets that if Q is 0, then Kf is equal to 1 itself. So this more or less sigma max equal to sigma 0. Nominal stress is equal to the maximum stress. And the material under consideration has no sensitivity to notches. If Q is equal to 1, Kf is equal to Kt. The material has full notch sensitivity itself. A design value, for design purposes, a factor Kt is obtained first for a given geometry, either from the theoretical consideration or experimental result itself. This factor Kt is exhibited to the material. Next, for the material under consideration, find Q from the design chart. With this, the value of Kt is obtained. Kx is obtained from the formula K1 plus Q into Kt minus 1. So we are acting what is the stress concentration when there is a not stress sensitivity, not sensitivity, and what is the mass sensitivity factor itself. Now this figure under here, how much notch density factor varies with the notch radius itself for two materials, aluminum alloy and steel, where whose sigma ultimate is known, 0.7 GPa. You see the notch sensitivity factor curves considerably scattered, and because of this many design constraints involved, only the Nash concentration factor KT itself. So here, this is the radius and this is Q, where the ratio of this not sensitivity factor, not sensitivity factor itself. So rate for aluminum alloy, it is also changing rapidly, and for steel, it is also a lot of variation there with the rate of change of notch radius itself. So it involves considerable scatter, and because so many different conditions involved, only due to the stress concentration factor KT. So we are thinking of this factor KT itself. So let us finish our class today. Nobody of you attended. We'll go for the thermal stresses tomorrow.